Your agent awards party for JVs right in the middle of the productivity call. The right overlaps. Might be hard for you. I don't know.
Yeah, I sent him. I included him in that email. So if that needs to be, then we'll talk about it and adjust it.
And I guess this is the updated one. Maybe it's printed right, but on the thing when I open it, it cuts off the bottom part of it. Yeah, but I don't know if that's just a principle. That's all.
I'll open it. Thank you. Morning, Nicole. Morning, Matt. How you doing? You're on mute.
Good start to the day by muting myself. I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. It's a little busy.
Just a little busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the permit finalized for Red Day.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine you're a lot busy. All right.
Matt, I found the correct HOA for Star Summit. I sent that over to Ryan for signature.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah.
Whew. My camera's a little funky. It's all like, whatever reason.
If you step like to your right a few feet, it'd be better.
Whatever.
Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
Oh no, he's in the next office. Okay, thank you.
How many do we normally have on, James?
Hold on. We usually have a pretty good group of 14 people show up.
14? Oh man, I'm playing to my biggest crowd. Shit. Oh my God. If I'd have known, I'd have done my hair.
Well, he just come after Tracy, so he did a really good job on open houses, so you better bring it.
Oh God, packet. Does everybody have their packet? Read that. Let's just call it a day. Done. All right. How was Tracy? Was it pretty good? Y'all learned some stuff about open houses? All right, I'm going to start calling on people while we're waiting for the rest to come in. Miss Tina, tell me one thing you learned about an open house.
I liked the style of his, knocking on the door, the 5 doors and the, right, left, and across the street, and telling them about the open house. I like that a lot. I liked how he ran his comparables, not really necessarily like what's going on in the neighborhood prior, just to have some, good talking points.
Yeah.
And his signage, the A little thing, the weights on the signs to make sure they don't blow away. I mean, that was a good little tip to have out here in Tucson. It's windy. So
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No, those are great things. And I will say this week, proof in the pudding, I'm actually holding my first open house of the year this weekend. All my other listings I've just fortunately had sell before they even got to the market. So I'm like, meh, no open houses.
that's what I've heard.
But this one I'm actually holding open this weekend, and I have another one next weekend. But with regards to the door knocking around your open houses, I was circle dialing. We have on the team, we have Mojo, the power dialer. So basically drew a box around my open house, gathered all about 150 names and phone numbers of the neighbors in the same development, and just started calling them. And I had 2 conversations in call, and this was not a, hey, I'm calling for you to list your house. This was purely a me calling, saying, hey, your neighbor down the street is listed with me. I'm selling it. I have an open house this weekend. The market is bananas. Which one of your friends do you know has been looking to buy a home and would love for you to be a neighbor? And, most of them are like, oh, I don't know anybody. I can't think of anybody. 2 people turned around and went, wow, Jesus. Well, that's $430,000. Well, do you think my house is about the same? So, well, yeah, probably. Well, we've been thinking about selling. Hey, it'll be a great time for us to chat. That's at my open house from 11 till 3 on Saturday and Sunday. 2 people. One of them has land they want to sell, and an old boy who wants to have a conversation about selling his house. So it works.
Yeah.
But it was just a real soft, just, hey, who do you know that can come by on Saturday and Sunday that's, looking to buy a house? And they aren't looking to buy, but shit, there's 2 of them looking to sell. So it works. It really does work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So add that to your repertoire too. Get into some circle dialing. Have those conversations.
What was that dialing thing that you said that you had? What is that?
It's called Mojo.
Mojo.
MOJO. Yeah, it's a power dialer. Costs about $150 a month for you to use the system and get the names and information that we do. So it's about $150 a month for one user. I think if you add another user, it's about $80 a user. So, but it's great because you can literally draw a box anywhere on the map, and it will pull all the names and phone numbers and as much data as it can for all those homeowners, which is super cool. So really, really cool. Ideal if you want to do mailing lists, circle prospecting, circle dialing, whatever you want to do. It's really good. All right. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I don't know whether I should take that as some sort of, oh shit, it's him, we're not showing up today. But James is like, oh, we normally get 14 in the class and I've got 5. So I don't know how I feel about that, but we're going to start. Is everybody okay if we just get going? All right, lots of nodding heads. Okay, great. All right, so quick introduction of what we're going to do today. We are going to be doing seller appointments, all right, which is obviously a hot topic in this market that we're in right now. As you may or may not be aware at this point, I am British. I have an accent. It is not a show. It is not put on. Sometimes, if you struggle to understand me, I'm sure you can get this recording with subtitles, okay? If you have any questions, just unmute yourself, ask the question. No need to kind of raise your hand. We're not 6. All right, so just unmute yourself and ask the question. I also swear a lot. And that is a true full-blown statement. Nicole knows this. She's on the team with me, so she knows I swear a lot. So if you are easily offended or have little children in the room, you may want to turn down the volume because I may often drop an F-bomb or a something else. So just letting you know, I'm ex-military. It's in me, and I come as you get me. So there we go. All right. So quickly, we're going to just run around the room. Obviously, we all know James. Nicole, you've been obviously with these folks for the last couple of days doing Ignite, so I don't need to get an introduction from you. I know who you are because I work with you every day. Chris, quickly, how long have you been licensed? How long have you been with KW?
Well, I'm working on getting licensed, so I'm not officially with KW yet, but I wanted to take this Ignite class to just to absorb as much information as I could.
Absolutely love it, Chris. Well done.
Realtor's all about. So.
Yeah, good for you. And you're still here. And we're what? X amount of, how many classes are we in now? A week's worth, week and a half's worth of classes, and you're still hanging in?
Like 2.5.
Good for you, man. Love that. Love that. Miss Tina, how long have you been licensed? How long have you been with KW?
I've been licensed a month, and I've been attending the KW classes since February. I came from California, so it just took a while to get my license information transferred over. However, I didn't practice in California. I came from hospitality, group sales to Caribbean and Latin America, large group sales. And no, just happy to be here, happy to keep learning.
Love that. Love that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Miss Ashley. Ashley, how long have you been licensed? How long have you been in KW?
Yeah, I got my license about a month ago and signed right on. So a month with Keller Williams.
Yay! Love that. And Mr. Kyle and the kitty cat that just keeps coming past. I'm like just seeing a cat's butt all the time. Like, I love that. How long have you been licensed, pal?
I've been licensed for 2 months, and I've spent both of those 2 months with KW.
Good for you. Awesome. I love that. So everybody's pretty fresh, which is great. Which means you're easily encourageable, which is even better. And I can teach you all my awesome bad habits and you'll run with them, which is great because you won't know any better. All right, so let's dive into this. We're going to get into seller appointments. I am going to be sharing my screen from time to time, but if you do have your books, go along with them as well, because what you have in your books is basically what I have on my screen, okay? So to stop me going back from screen share and stuff, we'll just follow along in the books. Everybody okay with that? All right, I love that. Lots of nodding heads. Love it. Okay. So what are we going to be focusing on today? The big thing today we're going to be talking about is the seller listing presentations and getting listings. Who, you know, we'd all agree, even though, you know, Chris, you're not licensed, Nicole, you're not licensed yet, and the other three of you have just been licensed for a small amount of time. It's a seller's market, right? Yes or yes? Yeah. The market is bananas. Yes or yes? Okay. Ask the question to yourself, is it advantageous to be working with buyers right now or sellers? Which is more worth your time?
Sellers.
So, yeah, everybody's like, sellers. Yes, sellers, okay? Don't get me wrong, working with buyers is great. I work with buyers, I'm working with buyers. It will take you exponentially more time and effort and energy and brain power working with buyers right now than it will with a seller. If you can get a seller and get them to list with you, it's easy money, okay? Everybody else is gonna do the work for you, all right? But working with buyers, geez, Nicole will back this up. I had a buyer that I got under contract a couple of weeks ago. I probably wrote 9 offers for the same buyer, 9 different properties, and that's only the properties they liked enough to write an offer on. That's, you know, I probably showed them a lot of properties. And it took a lot of out of the box thinking to get their offer accepted, you know, without breaking the bank. So working with buyers is super hard. Working with sellers is easy. They can get top dollar. They can sell their home quickly. They can even meet unrealistic goals of a seller from like 2 years ago. Like, hey, I'll sell you my house, but I want to rent it back for 6 months. Buyers are like, whatever it takes, just let me buy a house, okay? So working with sellers is pretty easy and is what we want right now. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about what sellers want. We're going to talk about the appointment, before the appointment. We're going to talk about the listing presentation, all right? So what you're actually saying in front of the seller, sat down at the dining table, sat down at the kitchen table, you know, wherever, or maybe even sat down in your office, depending, but wherever you're sat in front of the seller, this is what we're going to say. So the listing presentation and the entire listing appointment, and then we're going to go through some recaps and ahas and get some success habits going. Does that sound good with everybody? All right. I am normally, how long do these go on for? 2 hours, 3 hours? What time do y'all normally finish?
11.
You know, okay, so it's 2 hours. Perfect, because we all got shit to do, right? So awesome. Okay, I want you to look at this diagram. Do you all have that diagram in your book? Okay, lots of nodding heads. So let's look at this real quick. Okay, obviously this book was made in March last year. Things have changed a lot since March last year. I'm sure you'll all agree. But let's look at this diagram and say that it says how sellers find their agents. Okay, so it says here nearly 40% find their agent because they're referred by a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. 27% have used their agent previously. 5% are personally contacted by the agent. 4% is internet or website, and then open house. They met the agent in the open house, and other big portion of 22%. I'm sure maybe that other could be sort of postcards, mailings, door knocking, social media, that kind of stuff. We don't know what that is. But the top two I want to really focus on, nearly 40% is referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative, and then 27% used an agent previously. What are those two numbers, Chris? I'm going to call on you, my friend. What do those two numbers tell you? What are they? What jumps off the page when you look at those numbers?
It tells me that if you do good customer service, if you really take care of your client, you're either going to get a referral or a customer is going to likely call on you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. Kyle, what about yourself? What do you think? When you look at those numbers, what does it tell you?
Actually got to pull those numbers up on my computer right now. I don't have the
That's okay.
book in front of me.
No, bottom of the class, that's an F. You're in detention. Shit, man, I can't even tell you how many detentions I had as a kid. Whew. I'm telling you, man. God dang it. Like, I almost felt like the teachers are in detention with me because that's how many detentions I had. They're like, oh, I have detention with Matt again tonight. Like, come on, coming in. Let's get this going. I'm used to this. Okay, do you have those numbers pulled up, Jane? Kyle?
Yeah, the profile on buyers and sellers.
Yeah, how sellers found their agent. We're looking for that pie chart. No, sorry, that one. There you go.
I got it.
Okay, so 39% referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. 27% used an agent previously. What do those numbers tell you?
They disappear.
Looks like we lost Kyle.
Oh, well, you know what? Okay, bye, Kyle. All right, let me answer the question for you. He's probably like, I don't have the numbers. Click, just get out of the class. Okay, so those numbers tell me database, right? Can everybody else agree? Hands up. Can we all get a little amen? Database. Yeah. So friend, neighbor, or relative are passing you 40% of the sellers you're going to get, and 27% of the sellers you're going to have used you previously. All right, that to me says your database and your follow-up needs to be shit hot. Okay, don't be a secret agent. All right, it is no good. Your friends, your family, your members of your church, members of any groups that you're in, maybe their work colleagues at another job that you have, if they don't know you're a realtor, you are missing out on 40% of the sellers you could potentially get. Do these numbers not tell you that? Yeah. And then for the 27%, if you do a freaking amazing job selling somebody's house and then you stay in touch with them again, you have a 27% chance of them using you again. All right. One of the things I see a lot, and I will tell you this, my friends, and Nicole will agree, I am not perfect at all. I have a lot of shit falls through my cracks that I don't do, but there are some things that I do pretty darn well. Loving on my clients is one of them. I take it very personally. I get to know my clients, know their kids, know their dogs, know their habits and their lifestyles and stuff like that. I really try and stay on top of those and stay in touch with them. But when you do a phenomenal job and you build trust, okay, and you are knowledgeable, those people will use you and they will use you again. So you gotta leverage your database. You have to let your friends, your family, your relatives, other people in groups or organizations that you're in, you've got to let them know that you're in real estate. You've got to let them know you're a realtor, and you've got to build that trust level. Okay, it won't come like that. It might take months, it might take years, but it will happen. Okay, and then the same with your past clients. You've already built the trust because they've used you. Now you've got to keep in touch with them, keep feeding them the knowledge, the database, because you just asked them to basically put their financial freedom, their real estate goals in your hands, and you've helped them run with it. And then if you don't follow up, it's like, hey, this beautiful girl took me to the dance, and then we danced and we kissed, and then she never called me back. You know what I mean? You feel let down. You feel like let go. You want that relationship to be nurtured. So the data doesn't lie. I will also say, in the case of 2021, the world that we're in right now, with the lack of inventory we have, if somebody decides to sell, they have a broader option. Right? There's like 6,000 plus agents licensed in Southern Arizona. All of us are fighting for listings. So, it'll really be a painful day when your mom calls you up and says, hey, honey, we're selling our house. And you're like, what the fuck, mom? Like, I'm a realtor too. And you're like, oh, but, Dave down the road, he sent us this beautiful postcard saying that he'd sold this house. So we just went with him. And you're like, but mom, like, if you don't let them know, they'll use somebody else. Okay. So sellers have a really broad reach now. They can pick up agents on Zillow. They can pick up agents on realtor.com. It's so easy to connect with an agent right now. It is imperative that they are reminded front of mind that you are a realtor. Does that make sense? Now, I know a lot of you have only been in real estate for a month or so, or maybe two. Do you have your database set up yet? Okay. All right. Tina, how many people in your database?
I have 170 right now.
Awesome number. Ashley, database, how many numbers?
I have 60.
Awesome. Chris, what about you?
No, I have not set mine up yet. I just have my cell
Okay.
phone. I don't have the command access yet.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say to you, Chris. You don't need command. All right. You got a cell phone. That's your database. Okay. Did a lot of you know, and maybe you do and maybe you don't, if you go to let me just put, in fact, I'll pull up Nicole's information because she's on the screen right now. If you pull up a contact in your iPhone, did you see that you can actually add notes under your contact? Did everybody know that? Can you see that right there? You can add notes.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've only got a phone, you don't have a CRM, you don't want to use Excel or Google Sheets or whatever, use your phone, put the notes in under your contact. Looking to buy, looking to sell, bought their house only a month ago, blah, 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 yada, yada. Okay. And also when you're calling through your phone, you can edit the contact and you can add their address, their birthday. You can add their social profile. You can add all that in on the contact page of somebody in your phone. If you can start doing that, calling through your phone book and starting to add that information in, you can actually, on an iPhone and a Droid, you can download your contacts from your phone into a CSV file, which you can then upload into Command. Does that make sense? So you don't need a CRM to start capturing data. That was a really bad example because I don't have Nicole's address or birthday in my phone, but I'm also married to Nicole's sister. So there we go. It's done. I'm never going to forget. One thing I'll say to you, you said you had 170 contacts in your database, Tina, correct?
Yes.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
All right, do me a favor, sweetie. Grab your iPhone, go to your contacts, and go to the, oh yeah, okay. And then scroll to the very, everybody actually do this. If you all have iPhones, grab your iPhone, go to contacts, scroll to the very, 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 very bottom. What number do you have?
Well, in my iPhone, I just have 101. I just got a new one though.
Okay, all right.
All
Well,
my
you
phone numbers
get a-
from previous are transferred.
you get a pass. Ashley, how many phone numbers do you have on your phone?
126.
All right. Are all those 126 in your database?
No.
No. Okay. If you're struggling to add people to your database, go to your phone. All right. Generally, we have a shit ton of people in there and we never think to call them because they're like, oh, they're in my phone. They must know me. They must know I'm in real estate. Bullshit. Reach out to them. All right. My real estate coach last year at our big summit event did that exact exercise. It's like, hey, everybody, go to the bottom of your phone. How many people do you have? And I was like, oh, 700, 600 and something. And he was like, okay, here's the challenge. This year, you have to call everybody in your phone twice. And I'm like, that's 1,400 phone calls. Like, shit. Okay. I'm like, man, I wish I only had like 150, not nearly 700. Okay. So get those people going. Does that make sense? All right. Sip a brew.
Facebook also can be your contact, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. Great point. You can go into Facebook and you can actually download your contacts out of Facebook. And if you pull it, I believe it'll pull like their phone number, their email, their date of birth too, if they've input that information. I will say this though, I have thousands of people on Facebook and I truly only know a very small window of them because they're like, hey, add me as a friend. I'm a realtor in, Timbuktu. I'm like, friend, done. Who knows? So Facebook can take you down a rabbit hole of like, who the hell are these people? But again, you can add people and gather information from Facebook. So moving on, what sellers want. This is on the next page. I'm actually going to share this one because I think this one's a pretty important slide. Maybe I can't. Screw you. Oh, Apple. I love Apple. It's like Apple doesn't want to work with Zoom because, yeah. All right, forget that. I can't share my screen. So anyways, what sellers want, all right? It's the next slide over. So big percentages of what sellers are looking for. 21% want to help the seller market their home, all right? 20% want the home sold in a specific time frame, and 19% want the home priced competitively or help pricing the home competitively. Okay, 16% want it fixed up, 13% help want finding a buyer, and then other, who knows what the other is. So the main three there is marketing the home, all right, selling in a specific time frame, and also pricing the home competitively. Now, I will say this, we are, the industry's changed, the way that the world does business has changed. We have a greater reach from the reach of our fingertips now, with social media and all that sort of stuff. So what I would say is really hone in how effective you and the tools that you have to market sellers' properties. All right. It doesn't just have to be your Facebook account. It doesn't just have to be your Google account. Like, look at the brokerage that you're a part of, which is Keller Williams. Okay. And leverage what they have. And you can, easily tell them, find the stats of, how many agents do we have in our brokerage? We have 600 agents at Keller Williams. And what I do with your property is post that in our internal social media page. So all 600 of the agents in my brokerage know about your property before it even goes on the market, within that coming soon period. Because who knows, like, if only every one of those agents had one buyer, that's 600 buyers that are going to be knowing about your home in a matter of minutes, just here in Tucson or, farther afield. And then you start looking at on a bigger page, and then we actually have this Facebook group for Keller Williams International, where there's like 20 bajillion agents, and I can post your property on that Facebook page. And then in a This 20 bajillion agents from around the world are looking at your property within a matter of seconds, like, isn't that awesome, Mr. Seller? And they're going to be like, yeah, that's pretty freaking cool, right? And then you can do, go on top of that. We're going to put we're going to do Google ads. We're going to put money behind it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to have, parachutists parachuting in with a big banner behind it saying now for sale, all that bells and crap, whatever you want to do. But that's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. How are you going to market their home? And then in relation to that is then how quickly is it going to sell and how much money am I going to get, right? In the last 6 months, though, do you really think the seller's primary focus is on marketing, knowing the market that we're in? No. Do you really think the seller's primary focus is how quickly is my house going to sell in the market we're in? No. Do you think it's this? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Here's what I'll say. Having done, several seller appointments in the last couple of months, in the last couple of weeks, sorry, you will get asked the question, the market is on fire. How much is and I've had this, how much is my house worth? Well, Tina, yep.
So that's one of my questions. When someone asks you how much their home is worth, how do you price it? Tell me what you go to and what you do.
Absolutely. Regardless of what market you're in, the home is only worth what the buyers are going to pay for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Simple as that. And then obviously the home is legally worth what the appraiser feels it's worth on the day that they decide to get out of their car and look at your house. But truly and simply, the home is only worth what the buyer's willing to pay for it. Me personally, and the rest of the team, we look in depth at what has sold around using our comparables, and you can do this multiple ways. You can go through MLS and pick out, put in what's closed between this date and this date, and then zoom in onto the neighborhood and kind of cherry pick. Okay. You can do it through the tax records. If you go to the CRS tax records on a property, there is a tab at the top that says comparables. If you hit that little for comparables, it'll pull up everything that has sold in the last 3, 6, 12, 19, 18, 24 months. And there's a couple of little boxes you can tweak in, like you can change the radius around your subject property. So from half a mile, quarter of a mile to a mile, up to 20 miles, I think it is. You can change in plus or minus percentages of percentages in square feet, percentages in bedrooms and bathrooms, that kind of thing. So you can dial it in as tight as you want, but it will pull up in the tax records a list of all the properties that have sold. And then it's really simple for you. You go down that list, they're hyperlinked to the MLS listing. So I've used that, and that's what I generally lean into. And then I back that up with looking at MLS second to see if it's, they're pretty on point. You want to do about 3 to 5 comps, 3 to 5 comps. Because if you just do 1 or 2, you're not looking at a broader spectrum. Okay, so do 3 to 5 comps. And honestly, when you say to them, like, this is what your house is worth, it's all about the data, and that's where we're coming from. Okay, we don't just look at a house and go, it's beautiful, $1 million price tag, baby. Like, no, you got to come in with the data. So if you can correlate the data well enough, which then now establishes your knowledge base in front of the seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your home is worth X based on 1, 2, 3 Nunna Street, 4, 5, 6 Hubba Street, yada, 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 and go through it. 1, 2, 3 Nunna Street was a little bit more than what I'm telling you your house is, but it had an extra bedroom and a pool. The one down the road was smaller, wasn't updated, so that's why it's less than the one I think yours is. And you tell them about this, because here's the thing, my friends, the seller already knows. If you think you're going into a listing appointment to talk to a seller and you're going to give them a price they haven't already researched, you are wrong. Because they have sat there days or weeks or hours before making the decision to invite you in and have a conversation with you. They have sat there on Zillow and Trulia or Realtor.com and looked at every house that has sold around them in the last 6 months, and they have a price in their head already. Okay, now it's generally a Zestimate, which we all know is a crock of shit, but they already have a price, and they already know that 123 Nunna Street sold for 450, and they already know 123 Hubba Street sold for 445. They already know the numbers. So if you go in there and you're like, no, well, I really struggled to find anything that sold around you, so I kind of just went with this number, they're going to just tell you to get out. They already know. Okay, you're just validating what they've already researched themselves. So with the price, come at it with the data. This is what the data is telling me your house is worth. Okay, you will always fight emotional connection to a property. Okay, you know, we've raised our kids in this house, we were married in this house, you know, we've put 30,000 into this house 15 years ago. Like, you're going to get all that shit, right? And just acknowledge it. Hey, you know, I really appreciate that. And that's why I want to get you top dollar. And that's why I want you to walk away from this stress-free and enjoying the experience as much as you can. And I really want to pass the legacy of this house on to the next person that could get married there or do whatever. But the data is only telling me your house is worth 450. How does that sit with you? And they're going to go, oh, well, we really wanted 460. And that's when you start digging, right? You start going down the rabbit hole of questions. What is 460 going to do for you that 450 won't? Well, we need that extra 10,000 because we're thinking of doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, okay, great. Now I understand. There's always a reason. It's not just, well, we think our house is worth $1 million, so that's the price point. There's always an underlying reason of why they want a number, especially if they're very close to yours. We want 460, 465. Well, why? Tell me about that. Where's that extra 15,000 going? Well, and I've had this literally in the last week. We need to get more than what you're saying our house is worth because we're moving to California and our down payment is astronomical. So we need to squeeze this lemon to get every penny out of it. Roger that. Understood. Okay. You know, so there's always a reason and a motive behind them having their own price point. You just got to get to it. Okay. I will say this though. You can't do a price reduction on the property you don't have. All right. You can't do a price reduction on the listing or property that you don't have. So if your numbers are showing that the house is worth 450 and the seller is wants 460, take the damn listing. Don't be like, well, we're 10,000 apart, so I'm out of here. Just take the listing. All right. The market will adjust them pretty quickly. In this market, who hell knows what's going on? Like literally, there is like shaman down in Louisiana who can't figure this shit out. They're like, you know, they're rolling the bones every day, and they're like, no, real estate, don't understand it. Moving on. Yeah. So it's always shifting, and who knows that what you think is 450, they might get 475, 480. You know, cash buyer, financed. Who knows? Okay, it's so hard to predict. But the one thing we do know is the properties that have closed, what they've closed for, what loan types they were. That's the data we have to provide. We don't, you know, we don't walk around with a crystal ball and be like, oh, 480 done. It just doesn't work. Okay. Be prepared for pushback. Sellers won't always agree with the data. All right. And that's okay. That's okay. But just, again, just say to them, listen, I have to go off the data. You know, it's what I base my entire career on, is going from the numbers. So the numbers are telling me that you're at X, but you're at Y. So let's talk about that. Let's see how we can meet in the middle. Okay. Make sense? Okay. Tina, a little bit long-winded. I apologize. I'm British. Answer your question?
It sure did. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Anybody else got a question on that real quick before we keep moving on? Lots of silent and glum faces. Okay. Does everybody have a cup of tea or coffee in reach? All right, that's a good time to sip. Sip it up. Okay. So the process to listing. All right. So what do you know about the process of converting a lead to a listing? Let's call on Ashley. What do you know about the process of converting a lead to a listing? And don't just look at your diagram and read it off. Smarty Alec.
Obviously asking a lot of questions to see their motivations, getting an understanding of where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Asking questions, lots of questions. Okay. Getting down to that true motivation. Do you think that the sellers in the market we're in right now are motivated by anything else but money?
Probably not.
It's mostly money, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm seeing less of job transfers because everybody works from home now, right? So it's not like, hey, I have to sell because I'm relocating because of a job. Well, everything's pretty much online. So what we're seeing with sellers is the real motivation is, hey, I've owned this home 10 years. I bought it at 250. The one down the street just sold for 500. Like, I want to cash out. Like, I want to sell my house and cash out that equity and then either upsize or downsize. But again, there's always an underlying reason. It may be the upsizing, maybe the downsizing. You know, we now want a pool. We didn't want a pool then. We now want a pool now, or vice versa. We have a pool, we never use it, so I want to buy a house without one. So there's always a reason, but generally it comes from financial freedom. My finances are tied in this house. If I can sell it and get the money out, I have freedom to do whatever I want to do. Okay, so asking a lot of questions is absolutely correct. Qualifying them. What else? What else do you think you're going to need to do on that pathway of getting them from a lead to a listing agreement signed? I'm asking you, Miss Ashley. You're not off the hook just yet.
Dang it. Let's see. So questions, and then I don't know what after that.
That's okay. That's okay. So we do have pre-qualifying questions. Obviously, scheduling the appointment is huge, right? We're going to schedule that. But I always think just giving them valuable data, okay, of, you know, what's going on in the market, what's going on around you, preparing them for, like, what are they getting into? A lot of sellers may not ever have sold before. They may have been a first-time home buyer 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. They've never sold a home before, so it's completely different. So, like, preparing you for the journey you're going to go on, you know. So, kind of giving them a little update. We have, I don't know if I have one here in my office. Let me see. Yeah, yes, I do. I was so well prepared that I had one made. So, we on the team, we have these, which is a things to consider when selling your house guide. Okay, we have these made up. And it talks about, if you sell now, where will you go? Why people are moving, okay? Leveraging equity. So it's a whole little booklet that, you know, we on the team had our marketing division put together. You know, home price appreciation is on the rise. So, like, you know, where the trends are going. Also talking about why the inventory is low. So we give them, we can send this in the mail. We can go drop it off. We can PDF it over to them, but it just gives them a little bit of insight of, like, what am I getting into, especially in this bananas market, okay? So I would definitely advocate putting something like this together. This is not your listing presentation, okay? This is not going to win you the listing. This is just a little piece of something for them to digest, look over, and be like, good to know stuff, all right? And they may have questions of the stuff in here, you know, talking about renovating or doing upgrades and stuff like that. They may read this and take bits in here that in your listing presentation, which I've had, they turn around and say, hey, in that book you sent us, it talked about X, Y, and Z. Can you explain that a little more? And you're like, yes, I can, because I'm prepared. So do something like that, all right? That's a great little pre-listing thing to send out. Okay. So the pathway that's in your book, the process to listing is doing a pre-listing questionnaire, which we'll talk about, scheduling the appointment, sending a pre-listing packet, which we kind of just touched on, and then creating a kick-ass bomb.com listing presentation. Like blow them out of the water to the point that when they're done, they stand up and they're applauding you. You know, you got an Oscar nomination. It's just boom, done. All right. So let's talk about before the appointment. Is there any questions before we start digging into this before the appointment and what we say and all that sort of stuff? Any questions so far? Just touching on what we've learned. No? Chris, you doing good? Keeping up?
Yep.
Awesome. Mohammed, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Nicole, you doing good? Thumbs up. All right. So let's talk about before the appointment. Genuinely, or generally, whichever one of those two words, you're going to be asking poignant questions in your listing appointment, and then you're going to be sitting back and doing a lot of listing. All right. And you're just going to ask a lot of just very pinpointed, narrow focused questions, and then sit back and do some listening. All right. If you ask really broad questions, you're going to get a really broad answer that's not going to get you down to the motivation and the desire of the seller. All right. So asking a lot of questions is going to be great. Making sure they are narrow, focused, pinpoint questions is going to be awesome. And then just sit back and listen. Because I'll tell you what, when you sit back and listen, they're going to ramble on. They're going to tell you everything they love about their home, the reasons why they love it, what they did, what they ate for dinner. Just listen, okay? Because if you listen, it shows that you are attentive and you're interested in their needs, and they love that. Versus walking in and you go, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, shut the F up, sit down, pin your ears back, here I go. They're going to be like, what? Okay, and they're not good. And you just come at them with, we're going to sell it in 10 days. You're going to get 57,000 offers, and it's going to be amazing. And they're just going to be like, get out. Like we're done. So, so we're going to do a lot of listening. Let's talk about A, B, and C sellers. What do you think an A seller is? Chris, I'm going to pick on you, my friend. What do you think an A seller is?
Someone who wants to sell as soon as possible. Someone who's ready. They've already made up their mind. They're going to sell.
Yeah, love that. So an A seller is somebody who is able, ready, and willing to do business within, let's say, the next 2 weeks. That's an A seller. All right. Especially in this market where things are hot off the press, 2 weeks is about an A seller. Okay. So from there, Mohammed, would you like to take a guess what a B seller is?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What you said?
Would you like to take a guess at what a B seller is?
Which page are we in?
We're on page 7, my friend.
The seller that will accept A2. So the question here is, what part of pre-selling, pre-listing package helps you to set the seller's expectations about pricing?
Mm-hmm. We're not quite talking about that yet, but hold on to that, because we are going to touch on that. Okay. So Chris, our main man Chris over here, said that an A seller is somebody who's looking to sell and make a decision ready to go in 14 days, 2 weeks. All right. So a B seller is going to be what, 30 days?
30, 60 days, 30 to 90.
Yep, 30 to 90. And then a C seller is somebody 90 plus. All right. Do you think it is important regardless of them being A, B, and C, that you send this right away? Or do you think they're a C seller, so I'll send this in 70 days because they're a C seller? Or do you think you should just send it now?
No.
What do you think? Now? Tina, you're looking a little bit.
I think that you can go kind of either way. I mean, because that's like a big packet, you know. I think you'd want to, I mean, it depends what stage you are in your relationships with the A, B, and C seller. I mean, because you try to want to encourage the C seller to move up to a B, right? So I think information is good, but you don't want to information overload either. So.
Okay, no, great point. I know, I like that and I love that. Have any of you?
What do you do? Do you send it to all of them? Is that your style? Okay.
Well, let me ask you this. Have any of you gone in and ever had a procedure, a surgery, whether it's big, small, you know, LASIK or, you know, whatever? Have any of you ever had a big surgery where they've kind of prepped you up? Okay, Ashley, thank goodness, good for you. Okay.
There you go.
Do they tell you about the surgery the day before of what they're going to do and give you information on, you know, recovery and side effects and how to, you know, take care of yourself after the surgery? Or do they give it to you a couple of weeks in advance so you kind of look it over and mull it over?
Advance. They usually do advance.
Yeah, I would say sending something like, which isn't, again, this isn't very salesy. This is all information. This doesn't have pages anywhere. It's like, hey, sign here. This is like shit you should know, right? This is literally a shit you should know document. Okay. So I think sending it in advance, whether they're 30, 60, 90 days away from selling, is just good. Because they might be 60, 90 days away from selling in their mind, but reading something like that, they may come back and be like, hey, I read that magazine, I read that article that you sent me. Is it true that like properties have now appreciated like 15 to 20% versus like 5%? And you're like, absolutely, yeah, which is why we should probably spend 15 to 20 minutes and get together and discuss that. Oh, okay. You can move them up the timeline from data like that. And even if they don't, even if it's a hard, I'm not selling for the next 6 months, great, send them that, right? Still send them that. And then, you know, put them on your drip campaign, send them the little handwritten notes, put them in, you know, all that kind of stuff. Just send them it.
Personalize that data to their property. Is it their personalization in that data?
Nope. I don't put any CRMs, any comps, any neighborhood shit in that thing. That is a very general, what's going on in Tucson, what's going on across the nation, what we're seeing as a whole. Okay. Because again, they might be a second homeowner here in Tucson that has a property in California. They may have multiple homes. They may have a home in California, in Tucson, in New Mexico, who knows? They may only be looking to sell the home here in Tucson, but they get this, which has a lot of national information and data in it. They may call you and be like, hey, after I read your book, I want to sell here, but I also want to sell my house in New Mexico. Can you help me with that? And you go, yeah, baby, done, right? The listing presentation is where you dial that in and you come in super hyper-focused local, okay, with their property. Does that make sense? So yeah, I would start sending stuff out.
I have a question, Matt.
Yes.
So the price, the houses now, it's overpaid, 30,000, 20,000 more than the market price. So how do you explain to your clients, like if the house worth, for example, $300,000, you tell, okay, your house is now $320,000 more. Is that the price market now, or it will, you automatically will adjust by itself? How do you explain to your clients?
So great question. I'm going to recap this pretty quickly because we just talked about this, Mohammed, before you jumped on, but I'm more than happy to sit with you or do a one-to-one with you and talk about this in more depth, okay? But like I said earlier on, it's the data. The data is what we go off. So if the comparables are saying your house is worth 300,000, then that's what we're going to list at. because that's what the data's telling me. I don't have a crystal ball or a magic lamp with the genie. So the data is 300. Going off the data and your physical analysis of the house, like you've got upgrades, this, and this, you put the physical data versus the physical analysis of the house that you do with your own 2 eyes, you put them together. Now, if that means the price is 305, 310, you know, you're pretty close to datum. You don't just walk in and be like, hey, the market's on fire right now. The data says your house is 300, but shit, baby, let's do 350 and see where it goes. Of course they're going to say yes, it's more money. But they're going to be super upset when the appraisal comes in at 310 and they have to either reduce their price or lose the deal, because you are the knowledge broker, you are the consultant, okay? You are the industry expert, and you came in not using knowledge or expertise. Does that make sense? You just went, we call that buying the listing. All right, when an agent goes in and go, hey, the data says it's 300,000, but what do you want to sell it for? And they go, shit, 400. You go, great, sign here, we'll put that number on it. That's called buying the listing. And it's, you know, and agents do that. They buy the listing. Like I mentioned before, if your data says 300 and the seller wants 310, 315, take the listing, because it's not that far off from what the data is telling you. If your listing is 300 and they want 450, yeah, go. There's plenty of agents out there that will take that listing. It's not worth my time or reputation to market a home that isn't going to sell, and therefore in 6 to 8 months expire, and somebody else is going to pick it up and get the listing for the right price in 6 months. So I'm just not doing it. Okay, that makes sense. Does that kind of answer your question, Mohammed? Okay, awesome. So give me 1 second. I apologize. My phone is blowing up like nobody's business. It's my landscaper. He's like sending me like 30,000 pictures of the landscaping that he did. I'm like, I don't need to see that right now, but appreciate it. So before the appointment, we're gonna ascertain whether they're A, B, or C sellers. Okay, because now we know how to treat them, how to dial in. And we also kind of know their motivation and their timeline. Does that make sense? All right. So I would say you can probably find in KWSA online, you could probably find in there pre-listing questions or pre-listing questionnaires that you can send out, or that you can have as questions when you have your conversation, when you're in a listing. Now, I'm going to go a little off script here, and listing agents or agents that do listings do their listings in lots of different ways. Okay, so the team that I'm on, the Tom J. Krieger team, like Tom, he likes to be prepared, schedule a listing, go and sit down, have all the data in front of him, even the listing agreement with him. Okay, sit down, give them the data, give them the numbers, ask for the business, and get the listing signed there and then. Okay, it's the way it's been done for a long time, and it still works to this day. I'm a little different. All right, I don't always generally do that. I personally have done listing appointments where it's a 2-appointment process. Okay, so my first appointment is, I've connected with them, they're interested in selling the house. I set up a 30-minute appointment to go meet them and see the house. This is where I would ask those pre-listing questions. You get to tour the house, take a look at it, get to build rapport with the person who's about to, put their trust in you, and do that in a 30, maximum 45-minute appointment. All right. And then while I'm at that appointment, I'd say, hey, Tina, I really appreciate your time today. Here's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to put together the data that I've already pulled online. Now I've seen your house and I know what I'm looking at. I'm going to put the two together, and I'm going to come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock if that works. And we're going to sit down about how we're going to sell this house, and we're going to go over the data. Is that okay? Well, of course, they're going to say yes, right? The reason why I do that is I'm a really big rapport kind of building character. I love to make people laugh. I like to build rapport. I like to just connect with folks. I think that's really tough to do when you're trying to build rapport, look at a house, marry that with the data you already have printed off, and then be like, and, you know, be in game mode, right? It's super hard to do. And here's the other thing too. If you've printed off all your data that says their house is worth 400,000 and you've got like all these comps and your data says, yeah, your house is worth 400,000. And then actually you walk in and the house is like Beirut and it's like 350 max. There's no, you're literally going to be there like taking pages out of your presentation and like, shit, right? So I know it takes an extra step, it's an extra appointment, but again, it's also an extra time where you're in front of them building that relationship. So I do a two-step approach, okay? That's just me. It works pretty well for me. It's worked very well for me, in fact, with sellers that I've never met before. They feel comfortable that the first appointment isn't a sales appointment. It's a, hey, let's get to know each other, because I'm about to work for you and you're about to put your trust in your property in my hands. So we should spend some time to get to know each other. If it's a family member, a friend, or a past client who I've already got a relationship with, and I probably already know the house because I've most likely already sold it to them, boom, I just go right in with the last one. I don't need to build the rapport. We're already buddies. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions around that? No? God, you guys are easy, man. Making it easy for me. So that being said, I would again look online, and maybe James, you can help out with this too if you're able, my friend, to see if there's a pre-listing questionnaire or pre-listing packet online within KWSA1, which we can have these folks print off or share, and it's going to ask great questions. Okay, so in my first step appointment, I'm asking questions of, you know, what's making you sell? Where are you moving to when you sell? Are you staying local or are you moving out of state? You know, I really start to get into where are we going with this? What's your timeline? You know, what are some of the roadblocks or things that are going to be in the way with us selling this house? You know, I've got a client right now, they're selling now, but they have to rent back for 60 days. You want to get ahead of that. Okay, and find that out up front versus you've signed the listing, you've done all the marketing, you're about to make this property live, we know it's going to sell in a heartbeat, and they go, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you, we need to rent back for 60 days. And you're like, okay, well, shit, now I gotta, you know, I wasn't prepared for that. So asking really probing questions is always good, you know. And again, if they're moving out of state, which town are you moving to? You know, do you already have somebody set up in Oklahoma that's going to help you find a house out there? You don't? Great. I happen to know somebody. Can I share that your information with them? Boom, 25% referral fee right there, right? So asking those questions. And then also I found that a really great question that I just kind of pulled out of my ass one day, but makes people feel really good about themselves is, tell me one thing about your house that you love that you would like me to market to future buyers. Tell me one thing about your house that you love that I could market to future buyers. Okay. It gets them to talk about their pride and joy. It may be the backyard. It may be the kitchen. It may be the doggy door. Who the F knows what is the pride and joy of their home, but you're asking that you're inviting them, you're drawing them in and inviting them to help you market something that they've lived in for 1, 3, 7, 70 years, you know? And it really just enables you to connect with the seller on a deeper level, that this isn't just 4 walls and a roof and mechanical units. Like, this is personal. And I want to know what you love about your home, because I want to make sure the buyers know about what you love about your home. That question, again, I pulled that out of my ass about a year ago, and it really has helped me dig a deeper connection. And honestly, you'll also find that whatever they point out is actually a jewel that you probably would have looked over or missed or not realized until later on. And it could be a huge selling point. You know, like I have a client, a listing that I'm taking in a couple of weeks. It's like a 0 grade landscaping. Like everything in the backyard is all natural desert plantings, doesn't need any watering, doesn't need a drip system. But if you looked out there, you'd gone, yeah, desert landscaping. But they spent a lot of money having this desert landscaping put in and planted by professionals. So it's 0 grade, like 0 scape. It needs no attention at all. And I'm like, geez, that's fucking huge. But if it had just been me, I'd have looked out the back patio window and gone, yeah, backyard, rocks and grass, or rocks and plants, great. So stuff like that, you know, asking those questions. So that's a good question to ask. Timeline is huge. You know, don't just be like, when do you want to sell your house? Ask the question, when do you ideally want to hand your keys to the next owner? When do you want to be out of here? Like, done, because you can work back your timeline from there. You know, some people might just say, well, you know, whenever it sells. Okay, great. Whenever it sells, that's awesome. Well, we're going to do it now because it's the hottest real estate market we've ever been in. So press here, lots of copies, you know, but ask the questions, just keep digging. And if they answer you and it's kind of a vague answer, feel that it's okay to be like, can you explain that a little, go in a little more depth for me on that, you know, or what is it about closing in June that's important to you? What is it about the landscaping or the location that's important to you? Just keep going, keep going, keep going. You'll finally get to the very bottom. And you're like, done. I got all the notes I need. Okay.
I posted the pre-listing questionnaire in the chat for everybody. I'm here. I'm just I'm not seeing.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's just freaking awesome. Thank you, James. So let me ask you, the pre-listing questionnaire, the one James has just shared, you know, we have in the past sent this to a client and asked them fill it out and send it back. 9 times out of 10, they generally don't do it. Again, with the 2-step approach, you can ask these questions in person and take notes while you're in front of them, okay, which I find generally works better. What do you guys think are some of the objections you can imagine experiencing while, you know, sat down and asking these types of questions? What objections do you think you're going to get? Anybody? I'm not looking at one person in particular. In fact, I know what I'll do. I'm going to pick on Nicole because I haven't asked her a question yet.
You don't have to. I know this stuff.
Yeah, she does. So for those of you who don't know, Nicole is our transaction coordinator on our team. And her father, my team leader, Tom Krieger, has been in real estate for 40 years. So Nicole has been in the real estate world since she was knee-high to a grasshopper. So she's been hearing this and seeing this for years, but has finally taken the plunge and decided to get her license. And now she needs to know this officially. So Nicole, what types of objections are we going to get?
Oh God, you're making me think now. I don't know.
That's so.
Yeah.
All right, time's up.
Just in general about the listing itself.
Yeah, with timelines,
Commission.
closing costs, commissions, that kind of stuff. What objections are you going to get?
Commission. Why do I have to pay 3%?
3%. I'm not taking a listing.
Technically 6%.
Yeah, I'm not taking a listing for 3%. No, great question. Thanks, Nikki. You're going to get that a lot. Okay, you're going to get the commission question a lot, my friends. You'll get it. You may get it right out the block before they even hire you. It might be one of their questions as to the agent we're going to interview is the agent who can save us the most amount of money, unfortunately. I'm assuming, and I may or may not assume correctly, have any of you, Kyle, Ashley, Tina, have any of you done a listing appointment yet?
I have.
Or taken a listing? Kyle and Ashley for the win. Boom, get it, baby. Yes. All right, Kyle, did you get a commission question?
Not in my listing appointment, but I've had commission questions pop up when I'm prospecting. I do a lot of door knocking. So I've had a couple people, sort of probe about that when I'm, just at their doorstep. But in the actual listing appointment that I had, it didn't really come up.
Awesome. That's great, man. I love that. Door knocking. That is freaking awesome. Already done a listing appointment. Good for you. What did they, out of curiosity, what did they ask you about the commission? How much does it cost, or how much do you charge?
Yeah, how much I charge, and I tell them I don't charge anything, I earn it. Yeah, that's
Love that.
And I told them that probably about 6% and everything, and he said, well, I found somebody, or I know somebody that can do it for 3%, and I'm not going to be charged for both sides. And so I think I'm just going to go with them instead if I do decide to sell. And I was like, fair enough. That's your prerogative if you choose to do that type thing. I don't know how truthful he was being about that, and I don't know how reputable that agent is if they are only doing it for 3%. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like
great. I love that.
Yeah, it's come up in our scripts calls a couple times, different scenarios like that and everything. And it just boils down to, if an agent's not going to fight for their commission, how do you expect them to fight for your property?
Yeah, that's an old school script. Nikki, you've heard that. Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, if I can't fight for my commission, how am I going to fight for your money and all that sort of stuff? Yeah. No, it's happening a lot. It's happening a lot. Sellers now know that with the market being as nuts as it is, and demand being so high and supply being so low, that agents, they think, don't need to spend a lot of money on marketing a home, because it's from MLS to Zillow, and everybody uses Zillow, and buyers are out there looking all the time. So why do I have to pay you 6%? Okay. You're going to get it more and more, unfortunately. And we have to fight for it. And you just got to tell these folks, and I've had this conversation before, and I will say this openly and admittedly, I've taken listings for less. I have taken 4% listings. I've taken 5% listings. You've got to make a smart business decision. All right. In this market, can you take listings for less than 6%? Absolutely. Full well you're not going to spend on average the 1% that you should on marketing, because you don't need to, right? You don't need to do just listed cards. You don't need to do, your flyers and all this sort of shit. You put that in coming soon, or you put that in the Tucson Association of Realtors Facebook group and make it coming soon the next day. God, you've got people DMing you all the time. Address, price, when can I see it? Yada, yada, yada. You don't need to do the costly marketing that we've done in the past. All right. However, should you? Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. Why? Because every home you sell is another home in your portfolio that you can show sellers. Listen, regardless of the crazy market we're in right now, regardless that homes are selling in minutes on the marketing, I am still sticking to my core practice, my business ethos of making your house look the tits. It's as simple as that. So I'm still going to do the photography. I'm still going to do the Facebook ads. Still going to do the Facebook posts. Why? Because you hired a professional realtor consultant to market your home to the broadest spectrum of people possible. And I can't just do that with a bathroom picture from my cell phone with a finger across the lens. Like, that's not why you hired me. Like Kyle said, I'm here to earn your commission, earn my commission, your money. So I'm going to give you everything. Because we now know that it isn't just people in Tucson driving around looking at signs. We've got buyers from California. We've got snowbirds. Okay. We've got second-time homeowners from all over the nation. We've got, I think Phoenix was number 10 out of 50 cities where foreign investors are buying property from all over the nation. So it's not just super local in MLS, it's nationwide. So You're hiring me to market your home. I'm going to do it to the very best of my ability. However, when we talk of reducing commission, something's got to give. All right. And you can easily explain this. Like, commission is broken down into two parts: 3% to the listing agent, me, 3% to the buying agent or selling agent, who's going to represent the buyer. So first of all, let's address the buyer's agent commission. All right. If we reduce out my commission to 5%, I'm going to split that in the middle. That's 2.5% to me and 2% to the buying agent. You could even say 3% to me because I've got the heavier cost, which is now 2% to a buyer's agent. You are now starting to disincentivize buyers showing your property to their buyers, or buyers agents showing their property to their buyers, because they've still got to work as hard. They've got to write an even more competitive offer than they've ever written before. They've got to have tougher conversations with their buyers as to maybe let go of some of the things they find in the inspection and be asked to take less pay. They'd rather go and look at your neighbor for 3%. So I want to keep 3% to the buyer's agent because it incentivizes the buyer's agent to do a great job. And when we come up against this transaction, any bumps in the roads that we find, they're working with us versus against us and telling us to go F ourselves because we're only paying them 2%. Make sense? And they go, sure. Okay, so if you're going to ask me to do 5%, that leaves 2% on my side. So let's break down where that 2% goes. If it were 3%, 1% goes to my brokerage, the big bad wolf. They're always going to take their slice of pie. So there's 1% gone right to them. So that leaves me with 2%. Out of that 2%, 1% of that I generally spend on marketing, doing X, Y, and Z of all the steps in my marketing plan that's here in this handy little presentation. So that's my marketing money. And then the other percentage, well, that's actually my income. And out of that 1%, the tax man's going to take a whopping 30% of that. So maybe I'll have enough to buy a new pair of shoes or a double whopper on the way home. So if we reduce that 1%, my brokerage is still going to take their slice of the pie. I'm committing to you to do the marketing, and I've also got to, support my family. So something's got to give. So which part of this marketing would you like me to take out? Would you like me to take out the high definition photography? Would you like me to take out the floor plan? Would you like me to take out the drone photography? Would you like me to take out the social media marketing and the Google ads? Which part of this marketing plan that I've committed to with all my other clients would you like me to remove for your 1%? And just leave it and just shut up and just look at them. Because they don't want you to take anything away. And it puts them in a really awkward position. And if you know your worth, like I do, and I know that our marketing is shit hot, and I know that I can sell a home, and I know I could probably get them more money than the average agent, I am fully, like, when I look them in the eyes, there is not this in the back of my mind going, oh God, I hope they just say yes. I'm like, hell no, I fucking know they will. Because I know my worth, I know my value, and I know what I bring to the table. I will say this, unless there is absolutely, outside circumstances out of your control, if a seller knows you, likes you, and trusts you, they won't ask you to cut your commission. They won't. They know you, they value you, they won't ask you to cut the commission. They might ask you to, tack on a couple of bells and whistles and, I don't want to pay for this and I don't want to pay for that. Well, you can pay for that, you're earning enough, and you go, yeah, okay, they still pay for it. But unless it's extenuating circumstances, they probably won't ask you to cut the commission. If they do, and they say, hey, I'll give you the listing, but I'm only paying 5%. What do you say? You fucking say yes, people, because guess what? 2% is better than 0%. All right. On an average sales price of $300,000, that is $6,000. $6,000 is a lot of money. If you don't want it, send them my name and phone number. I'll take it for 5%. All right. So sellers are going to look to save money. All right. If you feel that they're just trying to test the waters with you, I've just given you a decent enough script to combat that. But if there's extenuating circumstances where they're like, nope, 5% is the lowest we're going to go, that's all we're going to pay, take it or leave it, then take it, don't leave it. 5-6 grand's a lot of money. Okay, good for that. Any questions? No? Everyone's like, yes, making money, baby. All right, does anybody need a pee break or a coffee top up? Kyle's like, I've been crossing my legs for the last hour. I need to go. Yeah. Okay. Go use the kiddie litter, Kyle. Come back. All right. Everybody, let's take 2 minutes. Go get your bathroom breaks, cup of coffee, that sort of good stuff, and we'll be right back.
Matt, did you want me to print all those CCRs and stuff for Star Summit and put it in a binder? I got them all off of the CAD website.
Say that again, over. The CCNRs?
The CCNRs and everything. I found everything and I have it in Google Docs. Do you want me to print all that and put it in a binder with the home book?
Yeah, put it in the home book from Title.
Okay.
Hey, Nicole, what's Star Summit's address? Is it 2662?
2663 West Star Summit Court.
$85745.
I believe so. Yep.
Perfect.
Oh, I should probably get one for this one too.
Okay. Is everyone pretty much back? Got a brew? Everyone happy? Living the dream? Okay. All righty. So the listing presentation. Dun, dun, dun.
So, question for you, Matt, before we move on about that commission reduction. So if you do agree to take 5%, are you actually going to cut away anything? Or you're still, I mean, it's your reputation. Are you still going to give everything as far as marketing and do, or do you actually go in and say, okay, I'll do it for 5%, but I'm going to have to, or does it depend, you know?
Yeah,
what the
no,
market right now? again, with
We've
the
scaled
market.
stuff back.
Okay.
Yeah, we've scaled stuff back. Like if they're not gonna, if we take a 5% listing, then maybe we'll scale back the drone photography or the videography. Maybe we don't do the video walkthrough and put the 4 to 5 minute YouTube video together, which we send to out of state, agents. Maybe we don't do that because you're going to do photography. I always think that the 3 things you should do in every property is photography, a 3D tour, and a floor plan. I just think those should be the new standards of listing a property now. Personally, it's very inexpensive. There are companies out there that you can hire that will do all of that kind of in a package, but it used to be that on properties they had to have high definition photography, and that doing a virtual tour or a 3D tour was kind of new and fancy. In the world that we've moved to now, which is a virtual world, I think a virtual tour of Matterport 360 tour or virtual tour, whatever you want to call it, should just be standard because that's the world we're in. And then floor plans, they don't cost a lot. You can get a floor plan of a property done for $99 at Home Depot. Okay, Home Depot of all places do floor plans for $99. So I think a floor plan, a virtual tour, and high def photography should be the 3 things you do for every listing. Okay. The other things though, like you said, maybe we don't do the polished 3 to 5 minute video tour, with me walking through the house, pointing out all the shit. Maybe we don't do Google ads because, the budget isn't there. We're still going to do a service because you're right, it's our reputation on the line. But if costs are being cut, then, costs are being cut. So, does that help answer your question, Chris?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. So the listing presentation, all right. So the pre-listing packet sets the stage for you to present your listing presentation. Okay, the pre-listing packet gets you those questions answered and sets you up to knock the listing presentation over the fences. Okay, the listing presentation is going to contain your plan to market the house. It's going to contain comps to help them understand your pricing strategy. And it's going to also contain any other information that that you need to show the seller to get to the goal. Okay, so if your seller is concerned about making the most of money, what we could do is show them through our MLS statistics, average house prices are here, but they're actually selling for X amount over. So even though the data says that your house is worth 400, that's what I think we should list at. There is a great chance that we'll sell over because we have the data here to show it. If it's about quickness of the sale, you can turn and say, hey, I've got some data here in this book I want to show you. This is pulled right from MLS, this last 24 hours, 48 hours, 7 days, whatever, that shows that average days on market are X and that properties are generally selling within 12, 24, 48 hours of going on the market, if they're priced right. Okay, there's always that caveat, if they're priced right. Okay, so if, again, doing those pre-qualifiers, knowing if it's the time or money or whatever the motivation is, try and add a little bit of data into your presentation to support what their motivation is. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So the listing presentation. Now, again, I know that KWSA and James here, my awesome James. There's listing presentations in KWSA 1. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're in there, okay? You can do them digitally. You can do them in person. You can do them, old school analog, print off the presentation, take a copy for them, a copy for you, whatever you want. It all depends on your audience. I've tried both and I'm super tech savvy. I will say this, old school wins for me, man. Printing off a marketing book and taking it with them and leaving it with them and printing off a marketing presentation just works. It really does. And I've tried new school. Like I've tried going in with a tablet with a swanky, slideshow and all that. Fuck it. old school works, babe. So I have a standard ring binder, okay? And actually what I've done in this, or say I've done it, the team put it together for me, is on one side of the binder is my buyer presentation. So when I sit down and do a buyer's consult, I have my buyer's consultation on one side of my binder. And then guess what? Flick it over. On the other side is my marketing presentation. All right. So I always have a solid hard copy of my presentations, which I keep with me or take with me. The client then gets a presentation that, you know, it will kind of come in a form like, oh, there we go. Ta-da! Look, here's one I made earlier. Okay. So they will get something, they will get a hard copy for like this for them to keep. That's exactly the same as mine. Talks about marketing samples, talks about, you know, cards we do, the photography and the videography we do, testimonials, has everything in there. But then what Nicole and what the admin, Heather, will do is they will put their comps in the back of this, and then any other data that I'm asking for it to go in there. They'll put all this in there and bind it together, and then this stays with the seller. In my book here, I actually have blank plastic pockets where I can put their copy of their comparables and those statistics in there as well. So I have the same data as they do. Does that make sense? Is this a pretty good idea or what?
Like it.
Back to back? Yeah. It was like, hey, you're printing two off of the same thing every time for me, and then I'm coming back and just giving you back one and having you rebuy. Like, just put this together. All right. So, but old school works. People like to touchy feel. All right. And again, this works across any age. I've had sellers in their mid-20s, super tech savvy, who I've given this to, and they flick through it. And then when you get, you know, old boy Bob, who, you know, has got cataracts and smells of cat piss, they like these too. Okay. So it works either way. So, but get yourself a nice presentation set up. Okay. So what does your listing presentation do? It sets the impression to build the seller's confidence in you as their realtor and as their agent of choice. Okay. So if you go along with the two-step process, you've already met them once, you've built some rapport. So the second appointment shouldn't be as awkward, and you can pretty much get right down to business. Okay. You've already seen the house, you've already got the data, you were there yesterday. So when you sit down with them, you want to just cut right to the chase. You know, sellers, all they want to hear is, Danira, how much is my house worth? All right. If you try and do this whole pony show of like, well, let me tell you about me and my team, they're going to just sit there and, oh, okay, cut to the chase. How much is the house worth? All right. So just get to the chase. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I was here yesterday. I looked at all the numbers, looked at all the data, took into account everything I saw at home. Thank you for taking the time to meet again. I want to, and I literally said it, I want to cut right to the chase. I know what's important to you is price and timeline. So, you know, should we just cut to the chase? Sure. Position yourself, if you can, at a kitchen table or a dining table. All right. Folks feel super comfortable at a dining table or kitchen table. All right. It's where they eat dinner. It's where they've had Thanksgivings. It's where they've made memories with the kids, or if they don't have kids, it's where they generally sit down and discuss and talk about their day with their partners, their spouses, their loved ones. Okay. So a kitchen table or a dining table is naturally a super comfortable place for them to sit down and talk business. All right. If you try and do it sat on the couch, that's the place where they relax, man. That's the place where they Netflix, hand in the waistband, watching trash TV. They don't want to talk business sat on the couch. And if it's one of those really awkward couches that kind of just suck you in, then you're kind of like super awkwardly trying to present, but you can't get out of the seat again to go take a piss. Like, it's super awkward. So just dining table or kitchen. I've done both and it's super awkward. So, or, you know, you go to sit down on the couch and you sit on the cat, like, I'm like, oh shit, that's a bad start, killed the cat. So they're never going to list with you if you sit on Mrs. Miggins. So sit at the dining table or the kitchen table. All right. the important thing is listing presentations. Y'all don't need to figure this out. KW have done that for you. They have one online, all right? And they most likely have a printable listing presentation too. So dig in. James, the main man there, will get you hooked up, okay? So, where are we? Everybody having fun yet? Yeah. All right. Is it better than Tracy's class? Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So the listing presentation is you're going to reaffirm with them what you're going to do to market it. Okay, so that's where it's super important to put your own marketing plan together of what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What does that look like? Okay, don't do it by the fly. You know, we as a team have spent a lot of time putting together a timeline of how we operate with our listings. Okay, so if I go back to our marketing book again, like we actually have a marketing timeline from day one right through to going live. Okay, and we try to stick to this as strictly as and possibly as we can, but it talks about everything like signing the listing contract. We order the pictures and the for sale sign, you know, down to like day 5, professional photos and the video are completed and the for sale signs put in the yard. You know, we order the print media. Like it goes through this timeline, and you can talk about this. And you know, you may turn and say, well, we don't want to do that and we don't want to do this. Okay, well, we'll just take that off the timeline, you know, but it gives them, like, you've told them what you're going to do, and now you're showing them how you're going to do it and in what order. All right, it's not just lip service anymore. There's some validation to what's coming out of your mouth. Okay. What I will say is, if you want to, and you can certainly do this, is if you have a tablet or something like that, you can take it with you. And if you want to, you could use that, for example, to show previous drone videos that you've done on other properties, or some of the high definition pictures you've done, or some of the videos that you've done for other properties. I've done that in the past with, you know, higher end listings. I've taken my tablet with me and I'm like, hey, we're going to do a great video that's going to be like a walkthrough with some drone photography and eagles and caca. It's going to be amazing. And here I want to show you a quick example of one that I did for our last property. Click, play, watch for a minute. And you know, I'm just watching like, ooh, like, okay, so that's pretty much what we're going to do for you. Does that sound good? And I'm like, awesome. All right. So, but don't you, me personally, just don't use the tablet as your whole presentation. It just doesn't work well. What else are you going to talk about in your listing presentation? Question you're going to get asked is open houses. Are you going to hold one? Okay. This all boils down to, in this world that we live in, the comfort zone of the seller. You know, if they're open for you doing an open house, hold it open. All right. What I would say, and what I'm telling my sellers now, is because we are in a very competitive market, you are going to get multiple offers. We've just kind of made it semi-mandatory at this point that if we list on a Thursday, which we like to put all our listings live on a Thursday if possible, then we're not going to respond to any offers until Monday. Because otherwise, you know, I could be in the middle of presenting an offer and you're about to make a decision, and then another offer comes in, and now you've got to reset the clock. You know, you got to start juggling all this. You know, as a buyer's agent working with buyers, is that annoying because you have to compete with everybody else? Yes. But at the end of the day, you are working for the seller and you're looking to do the right thing for the seller. So that would be to make it quite clear to all the agents out there in MLS that, hey, open house this weekend, going live on Friday. My seller is not reviewing offers until Monday at 5 with an answer by Tuesday at noon. Okay, or whatever timeline you want to put on it. But do that right out the gate, because your seller's going to love you for that when they can sit down and look at maybe 10, 15 offers and then, you know, go through which is the best for them. They're going to feel like you have their interests. at heart and the best interests for them too, versus, hey, put it online on Friday. Oh, we're great. We got a $10,000 cash offer, 10,000 more cash offer. Shit, take it. And then 2 hours later, you get $500,000. You're like, shit, bad advice, So that's what we're doing right now.
Hey, Matt, I just want to say that there's a PowerPoint in the chats for a listing presentation template, and then there's also a link through command if you want to use a couple of other listing presentation templates. Free for you guys to use through command. You can edit it, change it the way you want to use it. And then every month at our all partners meeting, we put out a little lore, or what's going on in the marketplace that you can also present to clients, how we're doing compared to the competition and how we're doing against the market as well.
Awesome. See, KW for the win, right? Simple. They got everything. Okay. Moving on. We're on page 13. Present the listing presentation. Oh no, that's role play. Oh, we're not going to do role play. Hold on one second. Seller objections. Ooh, love these. All right. So I generally have some great objections from previous classes that I've taught before, which are awesome. So we've had the one about commission. But first, before we get into that, what do you think is, and I'm going to pick on Tina. Tina, what's an objection in its simplest form? What's an objection?
A reason they may not be choosing you would be an objection. Do you want a example of an objection though?
No. I wanted the reason. I wanted exactly what you just gave me. So thank you. Okay, yeah, it's a reason not to say yes, a reason not to choose you at that point, right? In its simplest form, and I want you all to think of an objection not as a no, which a lot of people do. Oh shit, they gave me an objection. That must be a no. All right, it isn't. Okay. An objection in its simplest form is an unanswered question. They don't have enough data yet to say yes. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's put this into some real life perspective because it happens a lot. And I can guarantee you we have all put out an objection without thinking about it because we don't have enough data. And the simplest form is you go to a new restaurant with your spouse, your loved one, or both, if that's so inclined. The waiter comes over and says, hey, what would you like? Would you like to order? You say no, kind of right away. It's like, no, just give us a minute. You've given him an objection. He asked you a question, a yes leading question, would you like to order? And you said, no, give me a minute, because you don't have enough data yet to make a decision about what you're going to eat for lunch or dinner. Okay? Who's done that realistically? Who's gone to a restaurant, waiters come over and said, hey, y'all ready to order? And you've gone, no, give us a minute. Okay, let's be real. Who has done that at a restaurant when you know what you're going to order? Like somebody's come over and gone, hey, are you ready to order? And you go, no, give me a minute. And then they walk away and you go, oh, actually, yeah, I'm just going to order the burger like I always do. And you're like, why? We do it. It's a force of habit. We like to say no, right? Because no makes us feel safe. No is a safe answer. We generally like to say no. We like to stay safe. And then once we've got enough decisions and enough information, we then take the leap of faith and say yes. So you're asking a seller to take a huge leap of faith, to choose you, to choose us, to choose Keller Williams, to choose you as an individual agent, a huge leap of faith to get them to say yes. Okay, so you're going to get objections. They're just unanswered questions. Objections you can get are, we've talked about commission, right? Can you, that's an objection. Can you lower your commission? Is there a way we can save more money? What other types of objections do you think you would get in a listing presentation? Carl, you came up with commission, so I'm going to ask Ashley. Miss Ashley in the middle. What other kind of objections?
I don't have anywhere to go. after I sell the house.
Love that. So what I'm hearing is you don't have anywhere to go, right, Ashley? So you can agree, Ashley, that we want to capitalize on the super hot market that we're in right now, right?
Mhm.
And you told me in our kind of conversation yesterday that you're looking for top dollar for your house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you'll agree with me after our discussion that selling your home now will get you top dollar, right?
Right.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we put your house up for sale? But why don't we make it quite clear to all the buyers that you'd like to rent back for the next 6 months, which will give you time to find a new place to live. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that take a lot of pressure off you having to sell your home and try and find to buy something right away?
Mhm.
Okay. So that being said, and hey, I'm comfortable doing a rent back for you and advertising that that's what we're doing. And I'm happy to help you in that rent back situation. So with that being said, are you ready to sell your house and list with me?
No. Yeah.
Shit. I was like, man, put a listing on the board. I just sold it. Okay. Okay. So
How
great.
does that
I have no
rent back work if it's 6 months, but then they find something within 3? Is that just more dialogue with the buyer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a conversation you'll have with a listing agent. You make it quite clear. Look, like everybody else, they want to sell. They've got reasons for selling. They don't know where they're going to buy yet. So we want to do a rent back maximum 6 months. Okay. However, if it happens to, and this is instead of doing an extended closing. Because if you do an extended closing for 6 months, what if that buyer loses their job? The deal's dead. What if the buyer finds another house they really like and they back out of the deal? Deal dead, right? Close sooner. And here's the thing too, Ashley in this scenario needs the money from the sale of her house to buy her next one. So an extended closing doesn't do anything but put us in the same spot, just longer. So close 30 to 40 days. We're going to put together a lease agreement, which both the seller, now the tenant, is going to sign, and the buyer, now the owner, is going to sign, that basically says Ashley rents back for a maximum of 6 months. And in there, you're going to put that if Ashley is to find a home to purchase, then the close of escrow of her purchase date will be the last date of her lease. Simple as that. So good way to combat of, I want to sell, but I have nowhere to buy. Well, shit, let's do a lease back. Let's do a rent back. It's totally fine. It's happening more and more. It really is. People are struggling to find where they're going to go. So it is happening more and more. And again, in a seller's market, like I said right at the beginning, the seller dictates the terms. You either suck it up or you don't buy the house. Somebody else will, So great objection. I love that. Anything else? Can anybody else think of another objection? I like this.
Seller don't want to fix the defect material. If the house needs to be fixed, some of the defect material or something.
Okay, great one. Love that. Had that one too. So seller says, well, we don't have the money to fix anything. If we know, we haven't taken care of the house like we should have done. We probably know there's going to be some things found on the inspection report. However, we don't have the money to fix it. Okay, great. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate you coming forward. Let me ask you this, Mohammed. I understand you don't have the money right now to fix some of the things that may be asked of you during the inspection. And as we both know, and as I made quite clear in my presentation, that all homes in Arizona, as part of the purchase contract, are sold in an as-is state. Okay, so all homes are sold as is, but the buyer has the right to inspect the property and ask you to fix some stuff. So you're not obligated to fix anything, okay? However, it's probably going to get you a little more for your money if you're willing to do some small repairs, or a big repair, for instance, if it's important enough to the buyer. Otherwise, the deal's going to fall through, Mohammed. They're going to walk away because the AC doesn't work. And then you're still stuck with a home with a broken AC. And the next buyer is going to want you to fix it. And, can you see where this is going? We're just going to keep losing buyers because of that broken AC. So let me ask you this, Mohammed. If it comes up that the AC is broken and needs repair, if I can work with my contractor to fix those repairs and be paid at close of escrow, would you be willing to do that? Yeah, great. So here's what I'd say. I've got a plethora of contractors who I work with: HVAC, plumbing, roofing, handymen, landscapers. I've had this conversation with them in the past. They know me, they trust me, and therefore they trust my clients that if any work is needed to be done, they're willing to get paid at close of escrow because they know you don't have the money right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be selling your house, right? So if happy with that, I'm happy with that. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Sound good? All right, great one. Love that, Mohammed. Thank you. Anything else? Are you getting some good stuff from this? Is there some good takeaways from this?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
How
Anything
about,
else?
I don't want to buy with you, or I don't want to sell with you since you're a new agent.
Love that. Love that. I actually have had that. I had that in my first year. Somebody said to me, "Oh, we'd rather go with a more seasoned agent." And you go, you know what? I appreciate that, Tina. I really do. And I know that's probably not the easiest thing for you to say because, obviously you can respect that I'm here and I'm committed to my career. And, and it sounds like, Tina, you want somebody who can, fight for you and has their best interests at heart and obviously knows what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what I want to share with you, Tina, is, yes, I'm a new agent. I'm in my first couple of months. Okay. I'll be absolutely honest with you too. You're also my first seller. So, I kind of had the champagne ready to go for us to pop it together once we sell your house because you'll have taken my seller cherry. Okay. But what I want you to know is, Tina, although I am a new agent, I'm with a company that has been established since 1984. They are the biggest international real estate company on the globe. Okay. I can't speak for any other planet. I haven't been there yet, but they're the biggest company on this planet. I have 600 plus agents in Tucson that work for Keller Williams, Southern Arizona. And I also office in an office complex that has 50 to 60 agents that work in that office daily, prospecting, writing contracts and writing deals. So although I don't have the tenure, the people around me and the coaches and the agents and the mentors that I leverage daily to break through in this career do. And I'm not afraid to ask them for help to get you top dollar in the shortest amount of time to help you to move to Colorado. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So knowing that and knowing that I have this amazing company behind me, are you willing and able to take a small risk on me and help you sell your home?
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I love that. See, and here's the thing. These aren't here to say no. Okay. They're just like, hey, tell me more. Tell me more. How are we going to get this done? Like, you're a new agent. How are you going to get this done? I don't have any money for repairs. How am I going to get this done? They're just looking for a little bit more information. Here's one that I've heard often, and y'all have probably heard it or said it yourself in times. We need to think about it. We need to think about it, right? Who here's been out to buy something, a new piece of furniture, a new car or something, and the sales bloke is just breathing his coffee breath, commission breath all over you. And he's like, hey, you want to buy it? And you go, your default straight away is like, we need to think about it, right? Y'all said, I know I've said that. That's like my go-to. It's just like, I need to think about it. Or even better, you should talk to my wife.
Yeah.
And then have them go chase my wife.
Husband, which is so not true.
And then next thing you know, my wife's in the corner being pinned down by Billy Bob and she's looking at me. She's like, you're fucking dead. as he's trying to sell her a new sectional couch, and I'm just like, just walking through Sam Levitt's peacefully. I do that all the time. Like, dude, I was like, married, talk to the wife. And he's like, gotcha. So, but we say that often. We say we need to think about it, or genuinely, we need to talk to my wife, okay, or spouse. What I will say is, to the second part of that, you should only be doing a listing presentation in front of both of the people who are going to be making the decisions. Okay, that's rule number one. Don't do it with the husband if you're buddies with him, because he's going to go home and she's going to be like, well, you left me out, and then it's a whole drama. So do it in front of both or all decision makers. You know, you may come across a property that's owned or has been left to a trust, and there's multiple trustees on that decision-making process. Get in front of them all and talk to them all, present to them all, okay? With regards to the think about it, which you will get, say, you know what, Chris, I appreciate that you want to think about it. But let me ask you, Chris, what is it you want to think about? Do you want to think about my 21-point marketing plan and how we're going to put you on Facebook and Google and the videos and the drone and the high definition photography and the 2 to 3 day open house we're going to do? Or do you want to think about the price that we discussed and decided to settle on a 450,000? Or do you want to think about how long it's going to take us to get your home sold? Which one of those is it you want to think about? Right?
Right.
You've given them a window. Those are the three, we've already know those are the three things that sellers give a shit about: is price, time, and marketing. So now we've narrowed them down. What is it you want to think about? And now they're like, shit, I've got to pick one. Can I phone a friend? But they generally may have something they need to think about. So they go, well, you know, Matt, I just really need to think about this price. Great. What about the prices you need to think about? Well, you said the house is worth 440 and, you know, we're listing it at 450, but I'd really like 460. Great. Then Chris, what is it about 460 that you're looking for? What's important to you about that number? Well, we're just trying to squeak out that last little dollar because we're doing this, this, and this. Okay, great. You're doing this, this, and this. What about this, this, and this is important? Well, you just keep going. Tell me about that. What's important about that? To the point where they go, you know what? We need 460 because after real estate fees, it's going to net us X. And when we pay off our mortgage, it's going to give us Y, and we need Y as a minimum down payment to move to Colorado. Great, Chris. I appreciate it. Now knowing that, let's do 460. If you're comfortable at that price, I'm comfortable. Press hard, lots of copies, put me to work. And if at that point he says, well, we still need to think about it. All right, Chris, well, hey, now you don't have to think about the pricing. So what about my 21-point marketing plan is it you need to think about? Or what about my timing is it you need to think about? You just keep going until there's fuck all left to think about. And at that point, you just really question and say, well, listen, Chris, you know, you said you need to think about the pricing and we got to the bottom of that. You said we needed to talk about the timing and we got to the bottom of that. And you said you need to think about the marketing. We got to the bottom of that. It sounds like there's something else that we're not touching on. What is it? Well, actually, it's blah. Great. Let's talk about that. There's something there. You keep digging and you keep digging. And it doesn't come from a place of sign now, sign now, sign now. It just comes from, hey, tell me what is important to you about the price, the marketing, the timeline. Let's get to the bottom of it. If I don't know it, I can't help you. Okay. So does that help with the, I want to think about it? So there's, I want to think about it. I'm a new agent, commission, you know, you're going to get objections all day long. Yeah, don't have the money for repairs, which is huge. I'm just trying to think of any other objections that I've had.
Maybe an objection. Yeah, I guess the objection to the listing price that you're proposing. I was just thinking when it was a Keller agent Williams that sold my home, and he was actually wanting to list it lower than I was comfortable. compare, I had 4 agents come in and interviewed him. And he was wanting to list it lower than any of the others, but he took the time to explain me his strategy by listing it a little lower. It would catch the eye of other people, thinking to get them over to look at the house at least, let them get emotionally attached to it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's one thing to really know is,
The
people
market will
shop.
set the price regardless, that the house is going to sell for what it's worth.
Yep, absolutely. And here's the thing too, my friends. We shop in brackets, and so do buyers, right? So, at the lower end price points, and I'm going to just say 300 and lower, buyers particularly shop in 10,000 brackets. They go from 240 to 250. 250 is their max. Oh, okay, well, let's look up to 260. And they kind of go in $10,000 increments. All right, but their biggest increment is we need to be under 300. Okay, we need to be under 300, between 250 and 300. 300 is our max. Great. Okay, that's fine. If I had a property that was 300,000 or even 302, 303, I would say to my seller, let's do this. The people who are in the high 200s only go up to 300. So let's list at 299.9 and fall into their search criteria, knowing full well they could probably eke out about another 5 to 10,000, because we all do. They all generally have it. Right, it's $10,000 is not going to affect their monthly payment that much more, probably about $10, less than that. Versus doing 305 and being overlooked by everybody in the 300s because they're shopping between 330 to 350. You know what I mean? And they go, oh, okay. So I said, I know we're putting it on the market for 7,000 less than what I'm telling you the home's worth, but I am telling you, you're now going to capture 2 buckets of buyers versus just the 300 to 350s. You're going to capture the 250 to 300s as well. Oh, I said, because I guarantee this, people in the 300s look less, but the people in the 250s to 300s don't look more because they know they can't afford it. So let's snag them in and then go from there. That's how you get a listing to just like your guy did, Chris. That's the strategy. Just a little bit under market value and snag that next portion of buyers in, So make sense? Okay. So like I said earlier, sellers, anybody really, buyers or sellers, they don't, and I truly believe this, they don't buy what you do or what you sell, they buy you first, right? If they can see themselves comfortably working with you, liking you, trusting you, being comfortable with having a conversation with you on a weekly basis, opening up their home to you, if they can trust you and know that you're knowledgeable in what you do, 9 times out of 10, you'll get the business. You'll if somebody really likes who you are, they're not going to interview 2 or 3 agents and pick the other guy. Okay. If you've got your business buttoned down with strategies and procedures in place, and you can show that, like, hey, the day you sign the deal, boom, 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 all these actions are going to happen. Like, they're like done. Okay. Prime example of this is Schmamazon. Right? Everybody has Amazon. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that hasn't bought anything on Amazon in their life, right? I guarantee you right now, if you went on Amazon and you looked for a certain object and then you actually went to the store and looked at the same object, Amazon's probably a little bit more expensive. A couple of times. Not always, but a couple of times Amazon can be more expensive. Yet we buy from Amazon instead of going to the store. Why? We trust it. It's convenient. We know their procedures. We know that once I press click, my card the money gets taken off my card, and in 24 to 48 hours, that shit is on my doorstep. And I know if it's the wrong shit, there's a whole simple procedure to send it back. right? We know, like, and trust Amazon because of the convenience that it's enabled us to have on a daily basis, but we know their processes and we trust them. Like, you will spend $2, $3, $5, $10 more on an object on Amazon because you don't have to leave the comfort of your armchair, but you know the product has a guarantee behind it versus getting in your car, driving to the store, looking around the store, buying it off the shelf. All right. So be that with your clients. If you can get them to list with you and know that they don't really need to lift a finger. Like, you could do a listing presentation via Zoom. I've taken listings via Zoom. Y'all don't even need to leave your kitchen table. We'll just do it over Zoom. This is great, right? And if they come up with the whole, well, we need a landscaper, we need the backyard weeded, we need the house painted, we need the carpets cleaned, you go, got it, got it, got it, got it. All y'all need to do is sign here, put me to work, and pay the bills for the contractors when they come in. Or if you can't afford it, I'll have it paid at escrow once it closes, but I got a guy. The landscaper I talked about texting me earlier is out at a listing of mine right now, hula hoeing and weeding the listing for my client because he's out of state. And he's like, well, bro, I haven't lit, it's the backyard looked like shit. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Just Venmo me the money and I'll pay the contractor. If you can make selling somebody's home easy, give them the Amazon 5-star experience, got it, babe. And you can get them the most amount of money, market the property out of the shit out of it, and sell it quickly, and make it a seamless, easy deal. You got it, man. Absolutely got it. We are 5 minutes over 11, but I want to make sure that when I sign off here, that if anybody's got any questions, that I get them answered before I leave y'all going and just let you get back to selling real estate. Any questions, anybody? Did I do that great a job that I answered all your questions, or are you just all?
Oh, great job.
Just
You
want
did
to
a great
get
job.
off?
Thank you.
You just all want to get off Zoom and go back to watching Netflix. Ashley just laughed like nobody's business. She's like, oh shit, he knows. He knows. My friends, thank you. I hope you've got something from this. It isn't rocket science. You don't need to make it difficult. Just make it easy. Have fun with it. Be personable. Be you, I think, is the biggest thing too. Don't try and be every other agent in Tucson, because I guarantee you this, every other agent in Tucson is trying to be like every other agent in Tucson. Just be you. Like, Mickey will attest to this. Is this not my daily attire? A Brit Bear t-shirt, jeans and shoes, or cowboy boots, and sometimes I'll throw in a sports jacket.
Yep.
And I've
Once in
sold
a while.
I've sold $1 million home looking like this. But I guarantee you, on my first appointment to the $1 million home, I turn up in a fucking 3-piece suit, sweating my ass off, and the buyers turned up in flip-flops and shorts. I look like a proper twat for like 3 hours of showing homes. I was sweated like no, and even the wife was like, "You can take your jacket off." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm used to the weather. It's totally fine." And then the second appointment, I just rocked up in like jeans and a t-shirt. She's like, "Yeah, you got the memo." I'm like, yeah, I did. So just be you, people. They love you. I got a listing because I turned up in a pickup truck. True story. I was the 4th agent to apply for the job, and pulled up to the listing, and rang on the door, and I'm stood there, and again, jeans, cowboy boots, t-shirt, and a jacket. And the homeowner kind of looked at me, looked over my shoulder, saw my truck, and his first words were, "Thank God you drive a real vehicle." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "The other 3 people that came before you all drove those Prius-y type electric cars." He goes, "Thank God you drive a real vehicle." And in his driveway down the back of the carport was like a 1992 F-250 beat up to shit. And I'm like, done. Like, I got the listing. We connected. I drove a truck. He connected with me, and through that. So just be you. Let your personality shine, and build rapport. Do the 1-step or the 2-step listing process, and you got it sold. All good?
Yeah.
Oh God, there he is. Somebody let him out. Oh shit. It's okay. That's Tom. That's my team leader, and also my father-in-law. I'm married to his youngest daughter. All right, my friends, go forth, sell a house. If you have any questions later on, please feel free to text me or call me. You know, if you want to talk about an objection that you have, and I know you're doing script practice with the rest of the team, but if there's an objection that you've thought of or you've heard or you want to discuss, just let me know. Take my number down. It is 520-288-0144. Shoot me a text. Let me know you're from Ignite, and we'll go from there.
All right, guys.
And
that is it for
James
today.
puts it in the chat too. Look at that,
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, throw it in there. Might as well. Thanks, Matt, for a great class. Definitely a lot of experiences firsthand that you were able to give to everybody. Hope everybody was able to write something down or at least remember something that Matt taught. Tomorrow we do have our buyer consultations class with Anthony Sotelo. We do have an in-person option for that. That will be at the KLP office. Just let me know if you're gonna come on by so I can get the room ready for you. Next week is our last week, guys, and that is it for Ignite. So come into next week with a lot of energy and just ready to finish it out, and then you guys are good to go. All right. Any questions for Matt or anything else?
No, thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Dan's definitely gonna be on you to get that. So have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Go Rocket. Take care, guys. Bye.